Welcome to the KellFire Show. Today, I am so excited to have Lorna Hollifield on today. She is an incredibly accomplished author and editor. She's also here in Charleston, which is right in my backyard, so I'm very excited about that. But Lorna, can you please tell us a little about yourself?
Yes. So I said earlier to you, my background is kind of like a canvas with all kinds of colors on it. There's this kind of one constant, kind of the river that runs through it, that I've always been a writer. And I have always been a writer since before I could write, I was a writer, telling stories, to anybody who would listen. And then in first grade, I had a teacher tell me, she's like, "Oh, I think you're an author. I think Lorna's an author." And I had a word for it. And I was like, "Oh, you're correct." I'm like, "Okay, that's what this is." And so I just kind of ran with that. And that's who I've always been. I grew up in Western North Carolina. I got married super young at 19, really freaked everybody out. Nobody was on board with that. We're about to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary this
Oh,
year, though.
wow.
So it all worked out. My husband and I were always both like really big dreamers. I would say that's really what connected us, is that we had these huge goals, and we decided, okay, let's hold hands and get married and do all of these because we're stronger together. And everybody else was of the mind, if you get married, you won't do any of this. And I still to this day don't understand that. Why the narrative is, if you get married, you have to lay your dreams down. Because as long as your dreams are aligned, which you shouldn't get married if your dreams are not aligned, but as
Correct.
long as you're like, okay, I'm clear with her goals, I'm clear with his goals, and you're going to make sure that you really help one another do that thing, you know, then you're good. You're good to go. Um, but, we kind of grow up in this society where there are rules and people decide, okay, this is the order, this is how it goes. And, um, you've got to make your own rules. So I think that's why that canvas of mine looks so splotchy, because we've taken right turns and wrong turns. We've, tried things that didn't work out, tried things that did work out, but the ultimate goals were always clear. They were always right there in our view. And my husband loved finance. He wanted to go into finance. He started out in insurance. That kind of opened the door for him. And now, he's a financial advisor. He goes in, trades the stocks himself. I mean, he just was on the trade floor in New York. He's got a firm in 3 states. And, um, so we've kind of held hands and done these things together. And I'm happy where we are. So
Was your husband 19 also? Was he as young
he
as
was
you?
20. He was 20.
Yeah, so you were babies. But
Mm-hmm. We were
I
babies.
I love that. I love that story because I like the message that you said that yes, there's certain things to be said about age and experience, but if you find two people who are aligned and committed to that,
Mm-hmm.
then you have a partner who can help your dreams come true, who you know when you fail, like you said, when you fail or you
Right.
pivot or you that you're strong enough together. Too often we hear we're stronger apart.
Yeah.
So the saying and sticking with it and being able to switch it up, and that's one of the things that I like about you so much is that you knew what you wanted to do, which is rare, but you
Yeah.
also you went here there, you just kept making it, you didn't let a roadblock cut you out from your dreams. You just kept going, and you're
Yeah.
a mom, you have a child, and you've done all this. It's scary to do these things on your own, even with a partner.
Yeah. It's scary to do a lot of, you can do anything on your own, because there's people, they don't find the right person.
Right.
They might be my age and they haven't found the right person. That's totally fine. um but sometimes it's weird, because every movie, every book, everything that we see that features a really strong woman, it's almost like the narrative is, she doesn't have a man and she's not
Right.
going to. You have this like Elsa in Frozen, ice princess. Like, if you're strong, you shut everyone out theme. Because I think in society we often overcorrect, because it used to be in the 50s, you get married and you have kids and you don't do anything else, which is also a bizarre theme, because there's so many things on the spectrum in between get married and do nothing, and be completely alone and do everything. I mean, you can be a single mom who's also a businesswoman. You can be a stay-at-home mom who, is killing it, just doing that and loving life, staying at home. You could be a mom that has a great support system in her husband who is an entrepreneur and doing great things. Or she works a 9 to 5 and that's her thing. Like, there's every single thing in the middle, and everybody's happy. It's at a different place on that spectrum. And where I fell on it was I had all these really aggressive goals, but I did find the right person, and I'm an extrovert. So it was great to have somebody kind of along where I wasn't doing it all myself, especially in motherhood. Motherhood's freaking hard. And I really tip my hat to single moms, because I mean, if my husband's out of town on business and I'm doing it all by myself for a week, I'm like, oh my God, like I need a glass of wine. I'm going to lose my mind.
Right.
And of course, if he wasn't around, I would single mom it. I would give it everything I had, and that kid would have everything in the world she needed. Thank God I don't have to do that, because that's the hardest. It's harder than writing novels. It's harder than being on tour. When that kid is sick with 103-degree fever at 3 a.m. and you don't know why and you are terrified, you want somebody next to you. And so just the mental load. Yeah, hats off to single moms. Like, you guys are killing it more than I mean, really, I admire you more than anybody. Motherhood's hard. I love it, but it's hard.
Motherhood is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
I would say much harder than launching a new business or a project, or those things. While there's a lot of elements to that that are out of your control, but the core of it, relies on you
Hmm.
and just
Yeah.
you. And when it's your
Hmm.
child, especially fevers and things that you don't know, and you've had no sleep, and you're birthing a new project or going to work or whatever it is, you have three other kids you're trying to take care of. It's
Yeah,
so hard. So I agree. Hats off to the women that don't have a support system, because
for sure.
it is so tough. Um, Kind of getting back to what you said, that, and I find it super interesting right now because of the whole women, like you're 39.
I'm 39.
Yeah, so you're still a baby. I love you to
Oh,
death.
thank you.
Um,
It does not feel that way.
but so in this, like this research, this awakening of women in midlife and
Hmm.
becoming this area where formerly, when we rolled into our 50s, we're staring at being grandmas, and we're assuming a new
Hmm.
role, but not the way society is going now. You guys married really young, but most people are starting to not even think about kids till much later in life. So women
No, we
in
had
my
kids
age group,
later.
huh?
Yeah, we had kids later.
Oh, you did? You waited?
15 years.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's right. You just said she's young. Oh, all right. Well,
She's
good for
4.
you guys.
Yeah.
Good for you
Oh no,
guys.
we had a lot of things to do before we brought another human into it.
See, and that's why you guys were successful, is
Yeah.
because you plotted out and did the things you needed to do, and probably grew your marriage and your relationship
Yeah.
before throwing the grenade in there with the child.
And that is a grenade. That's what people don't realize. We had what I would consider an unbreakable marriage. But the hardest times we've had in marriage have been since she arrived. And I'm not talking about anything major, not infidelity, not abandonment, nothing like that. I'm talking about just exhaustion, not being able to connect.
Right.
Like, one gets home, hand her off, go take a minute, and like acting more like business partners than a marriage for a while. We had to actively be like, okay, we have to still be us even with her. Like, it was like never something we had to be mindful about before. When she came, we had to get mindful. And I think that if that happens 2 years in, that might be, I don't know what kind of stress that would cause. Um, so yeah, it's the grenade. It is. And it's a beautiful, but then there's also these beautiful moments we would have never had without her. But it's
Right.
hard. Anybody that says it's not hard, like, I question, it sounds mean. I'm just going to be real. I question like their depth. Like, if it's not hard, like, how, like surface level are you with this? Because like, have you, or maybe they just don't have anxiety. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I think people just don't want to admit it. First, I think
Yeah, maybe.
we're not told. Our moms don't tell us because they're like, yes, we want you to have the grandkids. So they tell you how
Exactly.
wonderful it is.
They
Um,
gaslight us.
I guarantee you, if you went to the grandmas, like your own grandma, and you sat down and said, tell me the truth, she'd probably tell you the truth. But your mom
Yeah,
is not, and your mother in law is not going to tell you the truth either. But
right.
then I think a lot of people feel like, especially in this day and age, and when I was having my kids, that you had to be super mom and you could not admit that all wasn't well. You couldn't admit that, like, there were days where you just wanted to be alone and
Yeah,
questioned, like, why did I decide to be a mother? It's not bad. It's not a, it's a human reaction. Doesn't mean you
right.
don't love your child to death.
No.
But it is tough. And working with your partner, I had to learn. I didn't have any family with me. We had moved all the way to Denver, and started having the boys, and there was just nobody. I didn't have a babysitter till the first one was 2 years old, and that's when I
Mm-hmm.
learned, wow, you need to do, as much as I hated the cliche date night, we had to start just getting a babysitter and just going, even if we just sat there and didn't speak, but just go and be in the
Yep.
same room and try. And then, if, above all else, try not to talk about the kids, because
Right.
that's inevitably the first thing you do.
Yep. We're having date night tonight. I get it. And it was never something we had to schedule, and now we do. And that's okay. And every time we have that date night, sometimes we're both so tired that we're like, oh, should we still go on date night? But we do.
Hmm.
And we end up laughing. Oh my gosh. And the friendship shows up. And it's so important to do. It really is. And sometimes we don't do a fancy date night. I'll say, can we have a
Sure.
yoga pants date night, where I literally like wear yoga pants and we like go get popcorn and look at the sunset, or like, I mean, I'm telling you, we just like drive to the beach and look at it and come back. Like
Yeah.
something together. And then sometimes I want to be dressed up and and feel fancy.
Hmm.
But the important thing is she doesn't come with us, because and she is the coolest. She is like our little partner. Everything. We bought a car last year, so she was still 3, and we were there and we're like signing the paperwork, and she was like grabs a pen and she was like, where do I sign? Like that's how she thinks
Oh,
she's like part. And so we had to just like give her a piece of paper to sign, because she's like, this is a family decision, like why am I not, and everything that we do like that she wants to be a part of. And we love that we're such a we family, like we're such a, like we do everything together unit. And so it was hard for me, like when she was little, I didn't expect this from myself. I was like, oh, we're going to still take vacations. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. I have so much trouble leaving her, even now overnight. I'm like, mm-mm. Because I just connected, and she was a preemie during COVID. So that was probably a little
oh
bit of a
yeah.
trauma response to
Right.
that, because I'm like, I ain't going anywhere. Like, I've got to watch her, make sure she's okay. And so some of that, we have to battle our own psychology,
Yes.
because it's
Very much.
hard to leave them. Um, so you have to kind of rediscover each other in a little bit of a new way once the kid shows up. You really do.
So how do you feel as, so she's 4, so you were
Yes.
roughly 35 when she was born?
Yep. Just
Um,
barely shy of 35. Yep.
and I think that's kind of normal now. Like that, we've really
Mm-hmm.
shifted. I had my babies when I was 29, and I was
Mm-hmm.
considered a little older for that.
Yeah.
So how do you balance at 35, and you're doing all these things, you're an entrepreneur, and especially writing, because to be able to sit down and tap into your creativity, I imagine has to be like, I don't, how do you do that? How do you schedule time out that, like, you can just be present in your
Yeah.
work?
So the writing, it's so easy to go into it as long as I have the time. So when she was about 8 months old, we got a nanny, which was really helpful. And we're very blessed to be able to do that. Not every mom can. So that's not the
Right.
answer for every mom. Before that, I would write at night, like when she went down for the night, because I'm a little bit of a night owl. So I found some time then. I got a nanny 3 days a week. I didn't want a full time nanny, but I needed those 3 days to work or go get a mani-pedi, or sometimes I took a
Right.
nap. I mean, I needed those 3 days, and I would fit everything I needed to do into those 3 days. And so that was helpful. And again, my biggest struggle was at the beginning, which I trust. I have the best nanny. She's still Alan's babysitter. If we go, have a date night or something, that's who's with Alan. And she has been so amazing and trustworthy and loves my child. And she's family now, which is important. If you have a nanny, you have to be able to, you hand them the heart out of your chest every day, because
Oh,
that's what you do. Yeah. So you have to trust them completely. And so once I got comfortable after a couple weeks, it was easier to go back into that. And I found those parts of myself that I'd been kind of leaving behind. And honestly, greatly because of my nanny, Hope, her name's Hope, of course, it fits. I was able to finish my latest novel, Bright Little Girls. And
oh
without
wow.
her, that book would not be on the shelf right now. It came out on March 13th. I'm on tour right now with it. I'm usually home through the week, and then I hit the road or a plane or whatever it is on the weekends to go promote it. And I honestly, I really owe so much to that book, more than I even realize. I'm realizing it in this moment, to Hope. Because when would I have gotten it done? So it's you need help, you know. You hear it's tried, it takes a village. It takes a freaking village. And I mean, that's how you can go to the ritziest place in New York where they have three different nannies and all of this, or you can go to tribal Africa where they still don't have electricity, and there's more than one woman raising that kid. It takes a village no matter where you are on this planet. And it takes more than one. You need women.
I was just
I
gonna
mean, men are
say,
great. Yeah, my husband's fantastic, best dad
right.
ever. But you need a tribe of women around you to
Yeah, and
help
it
you.
doesn't matter that, like you said, Hope. It doesn't matter the age. I had the exact same situation as you because I worked from home while raising the kids.
Hmm.
And I, in 2002, is when I found Kayla, and she was 16, and she was a neighbor. Same thing. She became basically a part of my family, and she would come over 2 days a week, and just all three boys. And we had her from 2002 to 2014, never had a different babysitter. And you trust her, you like, there's just,
Hmm.
so you have to be able to trust that person so you can go out and be present with your partner. She ended up being
Yes.
my youngest kindergarten teacher and then his second grade teacher because she
Oh,
went to
that's
school, so that was
wonderful.
really cool. But yeah, you need a tribe of women. And again, they can be
Hmm.
younger than you, same age, older than you, but they understand those subtleties,
Yep.
their intuition, the way they connect. It's so important. So the book, tell
Yes.
us about the new book. So I'm very excited about this. I was doing a little research.
Okay. Um, so I'm very different than how I write. I'm sunny and bubbly, and people expect almost like chick lit or something from me.
Right.
But I tend to write about darker, grittier things. Um, I like to turn over rocks. I say this a lot, and see what's growing under them, and then help them find the light. Because there's always a little bit of redemption somewhere, no matter how dark the book is, no matter what bad things happen. I like to find purpose in negative things. And so this book focuses a lot on this girl who's battling OCD in her early 20s, coming of age, which I think the early 20s are harder than adolescence. I
For
think when
sure.
you are a new adult trying to find your place in this world, there is not a more confusing time for me.
Hmm.
And that's when, if you're going to have anxiety or things like that pop up, there they come, shows right up, and you're like, what is this? And
Right.
and you're trying to convince people to treat you as an adult, but you don't even feel like an adult yet. Like,
No.
it's just a weird time. And so I was writing about that time a little bit. And a lot of this book is just complete fabrication, just fiction at the most. I mean, but some of it's based on emotion that I felt or things I dealt with, just in a very exaggerated way.
Right.
Obviously, I was never connected to a brutal crime, thank God. This character is. So she's navigating all of this while someone she knows is the victim of a terrible, brutal crime, and she doesn't understand to the level she's actually connected to it and why she's so connected to it. But at the same time, she's trying to navigate, toxic love and, what is this OCD anxiety I'm dealing with? How do I forgive myself for being connected to this crime? Um, and the whole thing, too, everybody is always looking at somebody else. The narrator is literally stalking the main character and she doesn't know it. And I've realized when we're younger, even though I'm such an intuitive, I find answers within myself, we're still always looking around. And people, we find these things that we admire when we look at someone else. Like, if only I could put that coat they're wearing on my shoulders, I would feel like them.
That's true.
And that's a huge theme in this, is how everybody's always looking at somebody else. So we forget to just to look at ourselves a little more. And I don't mean in a selfish way. I don't mean in an entitled way or in a your dreams are more important than other people's dreams way. I mean in a you've got the answer and you do know who you are. People are always like, I don't know who I am. I'm trying to find myself. Really look. You might not love every part of that answer right now because
Right.
you might have some things you need to work on that you're trying not to see, but you know who you are. You know what you're going to do in this situation or that situation. Quit looking at other people and saying, who am I? Look in there. It's right there because you do it every day. And that's kind of what this is about. And figuring out, okay, now what part of that person I am do I want to delve into more and what part do I need to shed like snake skin? And so it's kind of about that. It's about discovery.
I love that. I think I had talked to a guest a couple of weeks ago, and
Hmm.
she talked about how that very same theme, like, I don't know who I am, I need to find myself, or like, I don't have any good qualities, or I need to be like that one. And so her
Hmm.
exercise was to sit down and write a list of all the things that you've accomplished in your life, big or small,
Hmm.
that just have meaning to you. And she said every woman that would read that back would go, oh, like, look at what I've done, and find
Hmm.
something like super positive. But at the same time, like you said, things we need to shed, things that we're holding on to that are not, they're not furthering us or enhancing our lives. It's a very good
Yeah.
lesson. So when you go on tour, because I'm just fascinated by this. So you write
Yeah.
the book, it's published, you have your publishing team or your marketing team, and then you go on tour.
Hmm.
And how does that look? How do you get to go on a plane, and where you go?
Yeah. So right now it's mostly in the southeast, and the farthest that I will be going to San Antonio, Texas. Because it is a southern book. My publisher is out of San Antonio, and so you kind of tour where it resonates the most.
Right.
And so far, I've been, around Charleston. I've been up to Asheville, North Carolina, down to Savannah, Beaufort. Next up's Columbia, Greenville. Then I'll be going like the Florida leg down toward Jacksonville, and then flying to Texas, like San Antonio, Castroville, those areas, those little pockets where some of the book takes place or where I have a reader base in that area. Or sometimes I just know, like in Jacksonville, I have some family there. I have a lot of people there. And so I'm like, I can get people to a signing there. They'll bring some people and, we'll introduce that area a little bit more to this. And so that's kind of how we select, the locations. Or, it's endorsed by Patty Callahan Henry, who is an enormous author. She's top 10 bestseller list right this second. First book you'll see when you walk through the door at Barnes and Noble. And she is who gave me a blurb for my cover. And so I
Okay.
went, Beaufort and Savannah is kind of her stomping grounds. And so I was able to use that endorsement to say, hey, you know, she likes this book. What do y'all think? And so those signings went really, really well. So that's just kind of, it's a strategic marketing
Right.
plan for sure. But I am a mom, so I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything through the week unless she's out of school because she's in pre-K and I don't want to disrupt her plans too much. And then on the weekends, I do signings from March till July, almost every weekend except just a couple where I had other events. And she comes with me. My husband comes with me to most of them. Um, unless, he has something else going on. But we try to use those as times to move as a unit, and not my tour be something that I have to do separate from them. But
Right.
hey, let's go do this, and while we're in the city, we'll explore together, and we'll go eat somewhere interesting we haven't been before or something. So that's kind of how that looks.
So you're also an editor
Yes.
for local Charleston. What's
Yes.
that look like? And is
Hmm.
that mean that you like get in on all the scoop and you just
Oh
the
yeah.
culture and everything here? And how
Yeah.
does that work and blend into
Yeah.
your life?
Yeah, so I began my editing journey with Mount Pleasant Magazine and Charleston Women. Still mad respect for those publications. I've recently moved on to Charleston Living, just really just because it was just a better fit at this time. But again, I have like mad respect for any publication I've ever been a part of, and I'm really proud to have been a part of any of them. Charleston Living is a little bit more all encompassing of the entire area, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm the editor. I curate, creatively what goes into the magazine. I work really closely with the publisher to, decide, the newsy stories, the lifestyle stories, the artistic stories. Those are my favorite. I love the arts. And then I assign them to writers. I edit what comes in. I write occasional articles myself when time permits. And then I see it through production until it hits the shelves. Even, selecting the photography, working together with the art director to pick a good cover, things like that. So that's kind of my day to day, um, Monday through Friday job that I do. And I really enjoy that because it doesn't take me away from the writing. And anyway, so yeah, I would never take a job that takes me away from the writing whatsoever. I'm not the kind of author, and some can, and that's fine, that they're an author, but then through the week, their job is just something completely different.
Right.
If it's not the written word, that's just where I live. I'm not gonna do it. And there were times, of course, that was very hard because it's hard to make it as a writer. And you didn't ask this question, but I always tell people, like, if I could go back and just whisper one thing in my ear growing up, because this was what I wanted more than anything, and it was almost torturous to think, like, people are constantly saying you're going to need something to fall back on. You don't know what that world is, this, that, the other. I just wish I could whisper, you make it as a writer. Just let her know, like, girl, you do
Mm,
it. You do it. And
that's great.
I feel like I'm gonna cry, like saying that. I'm getting emotional. Because it just there's so much doubt, and everyone who loves you believes you can be the writer, but they always want you to have a safety net.
Right.
Always. And they're like, of course, go for your dreams, but make sure, get a job teaching English or do the no, no, no. And it is so hard to look every single person that loves you in the eye and tell them you're going to do it your way. I mean, I'm talking your mother, your father, your
Right.
grandparents, your best friend, and telling them you don't know shit. It's hard to do that because you have nothing to back it up with.
No, and you get like the little voice in your head at times. It's like, well, they're my parent, or they're my older sibling, or they're someone in the field. Or, there's just these people that I trust, and they're saying, but really you should do this, and you start to question, am I doing the right thing? And I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. And that's one thing I would ask I wish I could do is like just go back and tell your younger self, whatever it is, you're going to be okay. You don't think
Mm-hmm.
it yet. You're scared, you don't know, but you're gonna be okay.
I know. My problem was I rarely questioned myself. I would always say that was I have this like intuition that I've had since I was a kid. And they always say, God, you were impossible as a child. If you got something in your head, it was going to go that way. It was going to go that way. And they're like, it wasn't even like a rude, bratty kid thing. At times we were like treating it like that, but it was this, I'm telling you, this is the way. And I'm still like that. I'm a dog with a bone, and it comes off aggressive. One of my old bosses used to say, "You're very strong," and it is because I just will not bend, and it comes from this place sometimes when I get that feeling, and I know I'm not gonna bend, and that's what gets hard is continuing to battle. And at times it comes to the point of like, I feel like I'm hurting people's feelings, and I know that, but I still can't let this go. And because I would never want to hurt anyone in a million years. I would never want someone to feel like their opinion wasn't valued. But
No,
was their opinion really valued? It was like, I care how you feel and I love you. But no, I don't care about your opinion on this thing, on this, that I'm going to be a writer and I'm only going to do things that lead to that. And you can still love people. You can still have an open mind about things. Now, that's the thing. If you don't know and there's something you're shady on and you're like, I do not have enough information to die on a hill for this, you need to submit really fast and go to someone
absolutely.
who does know really fast. Because if you're the kind of person that's hard headed and you know good and well you don't know what you're talking about, and you need to search yourself, do I know what I'm talking about? But those times you do, die on the hill, do it. You
It's just,
have to.
you have to, and there's like, we have to, there's nothing wrong with failing. Like you have,
Nothing.
in
What if
life,
you do?
yeah, in life, you're gonna fail 9 times out of 10. You're gonna fail on something you're trying to
Hmm.
get out there. And then you succeed because each failure is just a lesson. Like, okay, this time, don't do this. Or,
A
you know,
100%.
if we just, there's this fear that we can't fail. And I
Yeah.
think some of the most successful people in the world have failed a million times and just
Yep.
pull themselves up and just get stronger each time. And for you, I just think you're strong-willed and you're convicted about a certain area of your life. And look at where you're at now. If you weren't like that, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah. I want to say about failing, it's really important you fail yourself. And as parents, and I get this now because I try to keep my daughter from hurting herself or,
Yeah.
doing something. But there were times like I would say, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. But it took her falling, busting her knee, something to say, okay, she had to learn. And I had to learn, and everybody's had to learn. And it took me, I wrote 3 novels that never saw the light of day. It took me 10 years to get a book deal. I had probably 200, 250 rejections from agents, publishers, and there was nothing anybody could do to protect me from that. And
No.
there were times like I was crying in the dark in the bathtub, like, what am I doing? But I can't let this go. Um, I mean, I took jobs from people that were professional writing jobs that they turned out to be just horrible, horrible, like miserable jobs. But it's still, at the end of the day, I put it on the resume. It was experience. It helped me get the next one. Um, it all works together for good. And it's there's a biblical passage about that God works everything together for good, which I believe. And so the failures and the dips, you just have to weave it into this thing, that you're knitting together. But people will try to save you from yourself, and
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
you you have to fail. It's okay. And if you start early enough in your 20s, which this is another thing, everybody's like, oh, you have time. Just enjoy your 20s. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about that narrative either. Like, enjoy them. Don't think you have to work yourself to death. Like, enjoy your youth. But you better start building something because you're probably going
Yeah.
to fail 3 or 4 times. So,
Hmm.
better fail now, and then by the time you're in your 30s, you're like, okay, this is good. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying this. And then as I'm approaching 40, it's even better. And I'm glad I'm not just starting right now. And because I just day drank every day in my 20s. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot. It really is about mindset. And people say that, but they don't always break it down to mindset, uh, is equivalent to action. So I think that there's a lot to take in action.
So you're 39 now.
I'm 39.
And again, that's a baby. Everybody that like the core, listeners are gonna be like, "Oh, she's a baby, man.
That makes me feel great because
I'd give
I mean,
anything
I
to be
feel
39."
good, but I'm like, where'd the time go? You are aware of the passage of time. You're like, whoa.
Right. So that's what I
Yeah.
was going to ask you as you're getting now into this,
Hmm.
into the buzz phase of perimenopause soon down the road, couple of years for you. Everybody's different. Could be
Hmm.
10 years for you. Have you
Hmm.
noticed any changes? Your mom, so you're
Hmm.
probably your daughter's 4, so you're probably not feeling it as much as those of us that, had high schoolers at this time. But
Yeah.
do you notice any changes in even just, just the way you work, sleep habits, time management, anything like that? Or do you still feel pretty the same?
Just recently a slight bit. Now my mom went through really late menopause. So I'm thinking I might be late.
Yeah,
So, because she probably started it maybe late 50s, but she was, before it just was done, she was like 60, 61. So she was later.
yeah,
And I was a late bloomer, like getting to like the period age and
right,
stuff. I looked like I was 9 till I was like 20, but I was like a late bloomer with that anyway. So I feel mostly the same, except a little bit. So I have hypothyroidism, and so I think almost that hormone issue is what I feel more than anything, and it might be
right,
masking that there's like perimenopause things going on. I will say I expected pregnancy to change my body more, make me feel different, and I hear a lot about that, but I feel pretty well the same. Like I came home and just kind of put my old jeans back on and went with it. But I think some of that was stress because she was a preemie. I like
right,
wasn't taking care of myself enough. Like I was just. But I don't have a lot of. I don't feel a lot of different in that way. But I will say there are things like um I have like joint pain that I didn't have before. I
right.
have if I can't go barefoot ever anymore. It like kills. Like one of my feet I even had checked out, and I have some inflammation about around one of my toe joints, something like that. But I'm like, I cannot walk barefoot. And they're like, well, then don't walk barefoot. I'm like, yeah, but what about yoga and the beach and this and that? And like, yeah, they're like, well, you mean we could do surgery? I'm like, no, I think I'll wear a shoe. So there's just
Yeah,
things like that, where my age is tapping me on the shoulder just a little bit. My biggest problem is that I don't feel like I've aged one day sometimes. Like I just am like, no, I'm 25. I'll be
that is
talking to a
not a
girl.
problem. That is not a problem.
Well, but well, it's shocking though. But or I'll talk to a girl who's literally like 21, and we'll just be chatting, and then she'll say something like, "Oh, my mom says blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Your mom? No, we're peers. What are you
Yeah,
talking about? I'm not your mom." And so there's things like that that tap me on the shoulder, but really, I just don't. That's why aging scary, because
yeah,
it does blindside me a little, and I'm like, where did all this time go? And I'm going to get to 59 as close as I got, from 19 to 39. And that was, boom,
yeah.
that was high school feels the same distance away now as it did when I was 22. It felt like so long ago when I was 22. And now it just feels the same as it did then. And so I know I'm just going to wake up one day and I'll be 80 and wonder how it happened. And it's not going to feel any different than it does today in my
Yeah.
head, you know?
No, and that's what's so important. Like, I would love to be able to talk to you in probably 10 years. I would love to be able to talk to
Yeah.
you specifically in 10 years because I think that you have this, ass kicking attitude that you're going to be at that age and you're going to be no different. And you're going to be like, it'd be like aging is you dying on the hill of aging. I'm not aging. And
Do
I
not
would,
go gently.
yes,
Yeah.
do not go gently into the wind. And I think that I would love to see where you are then because I think you're going to be
Yeah.
exactly the same. And we need more of that, women that can tap into that. But like you said, it's scary to age, but I think you're going to kick its ass. I think
Thank you. Well,
you
that makes
are
me
going to
feel
be
good.
80. I think you are going to be 80 and you're going to be, roaming around in your bedazzled walker, just like, yeah, I still got it.
I know. I hope I do. I mean, isn't that what we want?
Yes.
Um, Part of that too is I've always been the same person. And anybody who knew me, I'm talking when I was like my daughter's age, I was this person. And I came off, I think, smarter then than I do now because I was so adult and I didn't grow up around other kids at all. It was just like adults all the time. And I was a writer then. I was prissy. I like to dress up. I'm still prissy and like to dress up. And I just I feel like I've always been the same person. And not saying you don't evolve, or become slower to anger, things like that. There goes my dog opening the door for herself again. Go ahead, pull it open. There you go.
I love that.
She drives me, even if we lock it, she's figured out how to, like, she's crazy smart. It's very weird. Anyway, so I just, what was I saying? I was saying I've always been the same person.
Right.
Oh, not that we don't evolve, but I don't know. I'm just kind of who I am.
Don't ever lose
And
that.
yeah, yeah, I don't think that it's gonna change.
I don't
So
think it's possible with you. Just from our conversation, I don't know. Don't ever
yeah,
lose. It's actually very inspiring. Women should, especially women that are in your age group, should start looking towards you as how to approach as they grow older and their lives phase in
yeah,
and out of different, the
it's a huge
transitions.
compliment.
You might, I mean, I know you're a fiction writer. Maybe you write
Hmm.
something fictional about aging because I think it would be a huge hit among us midlife women. Um,
Yeah, I'm
but
midlife too. Technically, I'm a midlifer. I'm
you
just
are
the other.
technically 36
That's insane.
because I think
I
they
know.
said now the new, I don't believe this, but it is statistically, they've done the research. 72 is the average lifespan. I think it's 72. Maybe it's 76. 72, 76, somewhere
I
in there
think
is
it's
the
maybe like men are 72 and women are 76 or something like
yeah.
that.
And
Yeah,
so then if you divide in half, that's where we're at.
I know. Yeah.
It's a
I hope
terrible.
I'm not half done. I
No,
hope
you're not
not.
half done. No, you're going at
Yeah,
80 something. You got too much to say.
I know.
Just way too much to say. Well,
I,
I always ask this one question. We
yes.
have the podcast playlist on Spotify,
Okay.
and I ask every guest to just give me a song so we can put it on there. And what song for you would best either describe your journey from for the budding writer on, or motherhood, or whichever, or your current journey? What would that be?
Everything by Buck Cherry.
Oh, Buck
It's
Cherry pulling out an old one. There we go.
it is. And I'm a rock and roll girl and
Oh, are you?
I love indie rock. I still listen to emo in my car. I can't stop. I know I don't look like that. I look like I'd like Justin Timberlake. That I don't look like I am. I never have. I was a cheerleader, but then I was like, writing angry poetry and listening to indie metal
No, I
and
love
like
that.
I know I make no sense, but it's me.
What are
But
your top three bands, if you had to
my
pick?
top three bands of all time would probably I almost have more top three songs than
All right,
bands.
that's fine.
And probably my top three there was a band called Finch in the early 2000s that did this song Reflection that I love, and I still listen to it, and they're middle-aged and still touring, and it's hilarious. um I also love Wicked Game, Chris Isaac,
Yes,
like from the day. But that was before my time. I like to listen to that one in the bathtub because I think it's such a vibe. It's like such
it
a
is.
mood. That's probably a top three. We'll never stop listening to it favorite. And then everything, Buck Cherry. Um, I love, the lyrics of everything. It talks about how I think he's actually talking about a woman addicted to drugs, but I look at it more as a mental battle. He says she's buried way beneath the sheets. I think she's having a meltdown, trying hard to fall asleep. And then finally she loses her grace and starts to cry. And then it goes into the chorus and she says, I want to be everything, everything. And that's kind of me because I've dealt with a lot of anxiety, OCD based anxiety. And I mean, when I say OCD, I'm not like a counter or a hand washer. I'm what they call puro, where I just obsess until I stress myself out. Like I might
Mhm.
Google, if I had a compulsion, it would be I will like Google and look up that I've been Googling something for 3 hours and cannot stop. It could be anything that just that day. It could be hypochondria. It could be why are we here? Existential. It could be any weird question that I cannot let go of until it drives me crazy. And I went through really bad anxiety in my 20s and was constantly in a battle to just get through life while having panic attacks,
Yeah.
wondering if I was crazy. I mean, just all of that. And that song, but at the same time, I wanted to be all these things. I wanted to be and be everything in the world. And I had to face every single fear. I mean, everyone was brought to my doorstep. Anything I had ever, what if this happens? What if that? And it makes me think that new movie Mufasa is out, and Mufasa was afraid of water because he lost his dad in water, and at the end he had to battle in water. And I looked at my husband. I said, "That's me. I always have to fight in water, and everything, whatever my water is, I'm gonna have to battle it." And that might be where that kick-ass, you say, attitude comes from, but there are moments where it is felt like I am breaking, just on my knees. Every moment is the middle of the night, 3 a.m. And but then once you kind of face it, that one disappears. And I always get a new one, but then I will face it and it will disappear. And I've learned just to live with it. Like OCD is just my little friend that, is going to be there. I'm going to have intrusive thoughts. I'm going to worry about stuff. And oh, well, like I'm just going to that's just part of my makeup. And now it just doesn't bother me so much because it's not something I try to ward off. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's an intrusive thought. That was really a bizarre, screwed up thought, but oh, well, I'm going to go on with my life. But anyway, and I still want everything. So that is my song.
As you should. As you should.
Yeah.
And like you said, you've got, a good 45 plus years to go after everything that you want. Or probably
Yeah.
50. Probably
That would
50.
be cool. That would be cool.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on today
Oh,
because it was
thank you.
just so, like, you have a rebel spirit, and I love that. And I love, especially women that just don't lie down and just say, this is what I'm going to be, and I'm not happy. You're not like that. And I think it's inspiring for all of us. So I just want to say thank you for coming
Thank
on. I
you.
hope now where can everybody find you? Socials, website, and
Yeah.
obviously the book. Let's plug the book.
Yeah. So the book, everywhere books are sold. Support your local indie stores if you can. If they don't have it on the shelf, let them order it. Love indie stores, but it's also Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all those kinds of places. Find me on social media, at Lorna Hollifield on Instagram. It's just my name. You reach, I'll reach back. I love connecting with fans, readers, everyone. And it might take me a minute to reach back, but I'll reach back. So, yeah, find me, reach out.
I think that's great. What's the title of the book?
Bright Little Girls.
Ooh, see, at first, if I heard that title, I'd be like, okay, this is going to be very feel good. But now that I know, and I know a lot more about you, I'm like, oh, that's good. This
Yeah,
is going to be
not
good.
super feel
Not
good
so
at times.
bright, no. Well, thank you
Yep.
again, Lorna. And if you guys liked listening to us today, find Lorna on social media, get her book, listen on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to tell you guys about our supplement line. If you haven't already heard, I put a lot of time and effort into sourcing out what I think are the most important things for women's health in this transition in our lives. And we have Dr. KellFire's potions and elixirs. What we have first is a vegan vanilla protein powder. We also have, this is one of my favorites. It's prebiotic and probiotic. It's a greens powder. So you get your greens, you get your fruits, but you do really attack that gut health and balance that out. So I'm a big fan of Thrive. We also have apple cider gummies. If you've ever had apple cider vinegar, you know how harsh that is to take. So we have our gummies, and they are apple flavored, and they're really good. Supports metabolism. We have the lovely collagen and biotin combo in liquid, so it's awesome. You can put it in your drinks, you can put it in your teas, you can just shoot it in your mouth. I love tinctures, but collagen biotin for hair and nails, because that is extremely important at this time in our lives. 8-in-1 mushrooms, illumination. I love this product. It's 8 different nootropic mushrooms that supports immunity, anxiety, mental state, awareness, focus. This is my favorite, baby. And then I probably shouldn't have said that because this one is my favorite, baby. This one is bovine glandular. So this is derived from bovine uterus. This is for hormone balance and libido support. This is a staple, and I think it should be a staple in every woman's wellness kit. All of our supplements you can get on mytempesta.com. Just hit the shop link and everything there. You can get it one time. You could sign up for a subscription with discounts and they'll just come to your door. It will spark your wellness journey and ignite your fire.